Come on, you know you're coming up. What's going on, everybody? Going Uber here, Pittsburgh Constrictors, and I'm here today. Got 3 snakes to ship out. Awesome, love it, love it. Yesterday's video, I talked a lot about Morph Market and how it's worked really well for me and how I trust it, and I think that it's probably one of the safest and best ways to purchase a reptile outside of actually going to the place to pick it up yourself. Now, that said, I want to talk a little bit about PayPal, and then somebody left a comment wanting me to talk a little bit about how I got into a shop here and started this little business. And I don't know how much I have to say about that, but I'll give it a try. So first, PayPal has worked rather well for me. I've heard a lot of horror stories over the last so many years, and I've tried to safeguard myself the best I can with that. And I usually do that by once somebody pays for a snake, and I print out the tracking number. I send that money over to my bank account, and then I take it out of that account and transfer it to a savings account. And I do that just in case somebody decides that they're going to try and get a free snake for me, and they pull their money back out after the snake has been shipped. I know a lot of people have been ripped off like that, and it's really not going to happen to me. And that's what I'm going to try anyway to not get ripped off, I should say, because anything's possible. But so far, knock on wood, it's been fine. Now, I haven't had a great time with PayPal in the sense of they send you these messages sometimes that get a little bit screwy where you think you can't accept the money and transfer it over to your account, but you actually can. You just have to go through your email to do it. So it's another one of those things where their site just doesn't work so great all the time. But it's been pretty good. It's been pretty fair. I always do it through the customer base. I don't do it with friends and family at all. I let PayPal take their small cut, a few dollars here and there, and that's okay because it's a great way, again, just like Morph Market, to keep track of my receipts, to keep track of what I sold and how I sold it, because the only thing I use my PayPal for is snakes, shipping snakes, and people that are purchasing snakes. It's the only thing I use it for. So I have a nice receipt at the end of the year to go back and look and see how much I spent on all the different things that I did with the snakes. Either I spent money on snakes buying snakes, or I, in return, receive money from selling snakes. So PayPal's been pretty nice. It's worked fairly well so far. I do want to explore other avenues. So if you know other avenues that are inexpensive, I'm not trying to kill myself here. There's a lot of overhead. The bigger you get, the more overhead you get as well. So I'm trying to avoid a ton of overhead. That's why I don't have a problem with PayPal taking a couple bucks out when we do transfers like that. Plus, it's a nice, safe way for the customer as well as the seller. They both have copies of what's going on, and I think that's a nice, safe bet. And when you do friends and family, it's very hard to contest. Say somebody tries to rip me off for a snake, or maybe I might. Never happen, but maybe I'm doing shenanigans and that person doesn't have a recourse. Well, this way we both have a recourse. If you do it with friends and family, they tend to not get involved and just give the money back to wherever the money was sent from. And in some of those cases, the breeder is the one that gets ripped off for no reason at all other than a little bit of a swindle. So I'll definitely be looking out for that kind of stuff. I actually had an emergency at about 4 in the morning with the PayPal because my internet's not working out at the house and my phone hardly ever works out at the house. And I got an email saying that they have locked my PayPal account up and I couldn't get any more information about it. So I had to wait until about 6 in the morning to get up here to the shop and get on there and get it all fixed and taken care of. So that was a little bit screwy. I don't really know what happened there, but they're saying something about check with my bank and see if I got the information right. But by the time I came in and changed my password and all that stuff and got in there, it was all fixed. So there was that. Now, on to the question that the person asked me. Well, this is a really tough question because for me, it was just a lot of planning. It was having a goal, having a good plan, and then implementing that plan as to the goal that I was setting. So when I first started breeding, I was in the house. I knew at that time that my snake collection was going to be getting a lot bigger soon, and I would not be able to afford the $900 and something every couple of months, to buy rodents. So I knew I had to find a place that I could start breeding my own rodents and taking care of that. And I had to figure out what kind of cost it was going to cost me to take care of rats as opposed to buying rats from a place like Rodent Pro or any other rodent place. That's just the one that's on the top of my head. I haven't used any of them in so long, and it's the only one I can think of. But there's a lot of amazing places out there. But So I had to think about that, and it all really came down to planning everything out to detail, and trying to get the best price guide and a monthly cost to a weekly cost to a daily cost. I mean, I was trying to break down everything, and then I had an idea of how much money I kind of had to make every year or have every year to be able to have a building to rent, the insurance that I have to have on this building right here. Even though I'm not open to the public, I still have to have the $1 million liability, in case somebody breaks into my place and tries to steal my stuff, and then the process breaks their arm, cuts themselves, hurts themselves. I will be covered. So yeah, as silly as that sounds, that's pretty much what my insurance is covering, because I don't really have people come in and out of here as like a pet shop. I do have people come from time to time to come and look at snakes and things like that. Sometimes whole classes come, so I needed to have that insurance, and that was like a thing that snuck up on me that I didn't know I was going to need renting this building. So even when you plan everything out, it don't always go to the way you want it to, but it definitely helps when you have a good plan. And then I gave myself plenty of time. That was a big thing. I gave myself plenty of time. I gave myself a 5-year plan, and I literally wrote out a 5-year plan. And that was probably the most difficult part of the whole thing, because goes into it, you know, and that really comes down to what you're looking to do. So again, this is not an easy video to make because it's going to be different everywhere. I found a very inexpensive place to rent right here in town, about 12 miles from my house, so I have to count that there's a gas included. And trust me, I've driven out here multiple times forgetting my key and having to drive all the way home, and that makes for a total like a 50-mile round trip day, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, 4 times. Yeah, well, back and forth twice, but a total of 4 times traveled. So it's something you have to really kind of plan out and think about. That's what I did. I spent a lot of time planning it out. I spent a lot of time drafting it out, getting on Google and researching things and just trying to find out what my best options were. After my planning out how much things should cost, an average of cost, and finding out how much it would cost to rent a place like this, I put it together and see, could I swing it? Could I carry this place for a good year without bringing any money in from the business itself? Not saying that I wasn't selling anything, but that's kind of going for some other overhead that got me to this point in the first place. So that was still negative money, is not money going in. Could I do it for a year? And once I was able to do it for a year, that's when I got into this place. So I said, okay, I can financially working my butt off, be able to pay the rent, electric here, and the insurance for the year, which was, for me, was a little over $500 for the $1 million liability for the year, and I went for it. That said, there was times where things got tight, and running internet at the shop and other little hidden costs that you don't think about when you're planning, and they are different for everybody. So I could tell you mine, but it would definitely be different for you. So it wouldn't be helpful. I don't want to clog this video full of unhelpful information, considering I already kind of think this is very unhelpful as it is. It all relates to me and my conditions and my surroundings in my area. But if I could tell you anything, planning and giving yourself enough time. Set a goal, know where you want to be, know how many snakes you want to breed. How many how many clutches do I need to have a year to pay the bills, you know, and everything guessed on the low end. At the time when I first got into here, I knew I was doing a lot of head-to-head stuff. I knew I was doing a lot of double, triple gene stuff. So I knew there was a lot of chances of different normals and single genes that were going to be lower priced. So I got the best average out of what I planned on breeding, and then did it on the lower end. And that kind of gave me an idea if I would be able to cover that next following year. So like I said, planning is everything, and really looking into what you want to do. I knew I had to have at least 12 clutches of average of this many eggs per clutch. And none of this is perfect, and none of this is, you can't control any of this. So I had to kind of try and just figure the best I could, and then be willing to work my butt off 2 other jobs to make sure that I can do it. You have to be have the opportunity to be able to do that, and you have to be willing to do that. So it has not been easy. It's been a lot of hours, a lot of work. Even outside of this, tons and tons and tons and thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of work and paychecks paying bills at home and kids' things that come up and sports and all these other things, and still putting money aside every single week as I worked on my plan over that 5-year goal. And I believe by year 2, I was able to get into this place here, and I've been here for 3 years now, and my year 5 was my goal to be an open small business. I was considering to be open small business was making over $12,000 that year, which would cover my expenses, but not really put me in the black. So luckily for me, I should do a little bit better than that this year, and that will all be profit at the end of the day. So, well, there's still a little black, but I'm close to not being in it for my initial investment and things like that. So a lot of planning. So I guess at the end of the whole deal, just planning, have a goal, go after it, and don't let nothing get in your way. No matter if it's $20, $50, take it out of your pocket every week, putting it towards your goal and your future, and you're having a nice little lump sum 2 to 3 years down the road that when you're ready to really implement it, you will have the backing to get your foot in the door and start going to work. So that's what I did. I hope that answers some of your questions. I hope you understand that it really relates to myself and my location and where I'm at. And I got there by planning out, looking at everything I could possibly look at, cost of everything, insurances and rent and paper, stationery, printer, all that kind of stuff I had to think about. So start writing lists. Start writing lists and give yourself a goal, whether it's 5 years, 2 years, might be, I don't know, 10 years, and then go after it and try and meet that goal the best you can. So I hope that helps. All right, I'm going to get out of here because evidently I've got some messages coming in. I hope that's the message saying that the snake arrived safely from yesterday's shipment, and I know all these will too as well. So this is awesome. We're going to Utah, we're going to New York, and we're also going to Ohio today. All right, everybody, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification bell, let you upload a video, and as always, I love you all. Send me bye.